Hello everyone, it's Vicki here today designing for Bramble Fox, and I am using a brand new stencil from the store and some of the new perspectives from the FoxBox this month. So I'm going to put some gesso on my page because I want to use the stencil, but I want to make it watercolory. So you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. I'm just using some clear gesso because I've got white cardstock, and I find if I use white it tends to be a slightly different white to the page, so I always use clear on white cardstock. And then that's dried now. I let that dry off camera, and I really like this paper, and I want to do sort of a patchworky effect, a layered patchworky effect. I'm not really describing it very well, but you'll see as we go. So I'm going to cut out all of those squares individually, and I'm going to cut through that because you don't need to see me doing that, but I cut the strips like this with my trimmer, and then I cut the individual squares with scissors. I just cut 4 from each and left the other 2 from each row off to one side, and I can use those on another layout another time. So I'm just going to arrange them like this. At the bottom of my page, and my idea is to have this at the bottom with the sunburst coming out of it. And there's the photo I'm using. That's me and my husband quite a few years ago now in Portugal, dressed up, fancy dress. That's not my husband's normal hair, but it's pretty cool, right? And it's nice and bright and funky, that photo, so I thought that this Vicki Booting collection would look great with it. And the perspective that I'm going to use says Fave Snapshot, and that fits really well. So here's the stencil. It's brand new in the store, and it's a sunburst, and it's A4 size, but I'm going to just use the top of it here on my stencil, so on my page, so it sticks out from the top of the patchwork at the bottom. So I'm using Distress Oxide ink. I think that's mustard seed, and I'm just going to put it through with my little brush there. That's just a makeup brush, cheap makeup brush from Amazon that I have, which I use, and just put some through there. So I love those brushes, they work really well, so highly recommend them. Here we go. So I'm going to put my pieces of paper back on just to see how that's going to look and how it's going to work, and I like that. And my photo's obviously going to go there between the patchwork and the stencil. I'm going to take this back off because this is where I want to make the rainbow messy. So I spray some water on, and I use my brush and just really smudge the edges, I guess, is what's happening there. And that just sort of gives it a really sort of messy watercolory look. It's not so perfect. Right, so off camera I dried that. So that I can carry on. I just used my heat tool, and which works very well. The paper's a bit buckled, but that's okay. Once it goes in my album, it will flatten out. So I'm going to start to stick these little squares down now, and you'll see how I'm creating this effect, sort of a layered effect. And I've got 5 of the colours. I didn't actually use one of the pink, so there we go. So I just have the 5 layers. And then I'm just going to fold them up at the bottom just to add a bit of extra texture to the page. There we go. Not fold, just sort of roll them up a bit. They're not actually folded. So there's that perspective, the Fave Snapshot. I'm not going to use the Awesome that's there. I'm just going to use Fave Snapshot in the end, but I think about using Awesome. Now this little card, I was dying to use this because it says hello in English and Spanish and French, and the reason I wanted to use it is because my husband he's a fool. He always says, I don't know why he does it, but he says, when he says goodbye, he says bonjour. He knows full well it means hello, of course, but that's what he uses, so it's sort of like his trademark now. And so it just made me laugh, so I wanted to use it. And I'll never forget the time that we had some French neighbours who obviously were our neighbours, and Rob went to talk to them, and as he left he said bonjour. When he got home he said they must think I'm completely strange. So yeah, little story there. So anyway, I digress. I took some of the stickers out of the sticker book and backed them onto white cardstock and made them into die cuts so that I can move them around the page. You'll have seen there. So there's a rainbow, a paintbrush, and a little flower. So yeah. And now I'm pulling off some chipboard and I'm just taking the sticky off the back so that I can also move those around rather than them stick straight to the page. I've got a little camera and a little black tag that says any day spent with you is my favourite day. So yeah, just some more chipboard here that I'm peeling the back off of. That was a little tag at the top, and I don't actually use that one, but I'll use it on a future layout, I'm sure. So this frame, it was hard to take the backing off, so I just de-tackied it, if that's even a word, with my fingers. So it was easy to move around. And I'm fussy cutting another flower here just to add onto the layout. I love these black and white flowers, I think they're really cute. So okay, so we're getting sort of to how the layout's going to look. I do move it around a little bit. Actually what I do when I move it around I don't like as much, but that's another story. That happens to me frequently because I take everything off the page to stick stuff and then I forget where I wanted to put it and it changes. And yeah, so that's just me. Anyone else do that? Is it just crazy me? I should take photos of it really, but I'm filming with my camera, so with my phone, so my ability to take photos is limited. So I'm going to use this chipboard strip here. This is what I don't really like on the final layout, but I stuck it down, so I have to use it. I put that just at the top of the squares there. I mean, I like the piece, I just don't actually like where I've put it, to be honest. I preferred the raw edge up there. Okay, so what am I thinking now? Thinking about backing my photo. So I'm going to use this paper here, which is just sort of a purpley colour, and the photo is going above where the purple strip is, so I thought that worked well. I distressed the edges just to add a bit of texture there. Now I'm trying to rearrange and thinking that I don't like Fave Snapshot below that line of hearts, but I thought it looked better below it really. So anyway, you get to see my my stages and where I think I've gone wrong or where I've gone right. So yeah, it happens to us all, right? So I'm just rearranging bits and pieces around the page, doing a little cluster. I'm going to cut that little tab in half because it didn't work under my photo as a whole strip. And I'm going to start to stick things down. So I'm just going to take the plastic backing off of the perspective, just helps it to stick there. It's sometimes on both sides, sometimes just on one side. I think that was just on one side, this one. But just look out for that. That sticks down there, I like it. What am I thinking now? I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to put some foam on the back of my photo. Seems like a good thing to do. Okay, that's going to sit on there. I put foam on the whole of the back because I've got a couple of chipboard pieces under there. So it didn't matter that it was all over. I could have just sort of put the chipboard, the foam around where the chipboard was going to go, but I felt that it didn't matter that it sat on top. You know, these things, I don't fit many layouts in an album because they're always so bulky, but it's fine with me. So I'm going to stick that down and then start sticking all the other little bits and pieces. I love that little paintbrush, it just gives, you know, the idea. It's a rainbow of colours in my photo and the rainbow at the bottom. I'm just going to stick those two little tabs down. And that flower, I still think about using that tab that sat on the page at the top, but I don't really find a place I want to use it. This is a little geotag perspective, which I'm just going to pop in over on the side there. It's got a little heart in it, so I like that. And it just brings out the black of the little tab at the bottom and on the paintbrush, even though it's actually a really dark grey, but it's pretty similar. So here I'm going to put a number 2, so there's 2 of us, onto that frame at the side. And I think we're pretty close to the final layout. There's a couple of hearts and a star that I'm going to add on here. These little puffies, which are really cute. There we go, and that's it. That's the final layout. I hope you enjoyed my process, and I hope this gives you some inspiration for using the stencil. I think there are a few other examples on the Facebook page as well, so go check those out. It's a fabulous stencil. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Vicky for Bramble Fox. See you next time. Bye bye.